Hi to all of you all. I am so glad to be back. We got our move over with. We're back in the North Carolina mountains, back to our what is really home for us. And I am just absolutely thrilled, even though I'm still just boxes everywhere and mess and tons to do. But I focused on trying to get my art stuff set up first. So we're running low on clothes, but I'm gonna paint. So, all right. Today the colors I have picked out are all Ranger inks: Vineyard, Shell Pink, Stream, and Pitch Black. Excuse me. This is Pinata Brass. It is not diluted with alcohol. I just put it in this needle nose bottle for ease of application. This is a mixture of 99% and 91% isopropyl. So when we were moving, I had open bottles of things, and I just sort of mixed stuff together into one bottle so that I could not have quite so many things to have to worry about moving. This is just a little plastic stick. I have no idea what it's called. People keep telling me different things, but I always forget what they say. I got it in the acrylic paint section at Hobby Lobby. It's just a stick with a little pointy end and a little rounded end. And I think it's to use for, like, you can use it to sort of drag out swirls and designs and things if you're doing some acrylic painting. I use it to get my ink moving sometimes when it wants to sort of dam up and not go where I want it to go. So if you see me pick up this little white stick, that's what that is. I don't always use it, but I do pretty frequently. And yes, for those of you who have been watching me for a while, I did find it underneath the shelves that I thought it was going to be under. And when we took all my shelves apart, as we were packing to move, that's exactly where it was under the shelf. All right, this is Graphics Durabrite art paper. I'll show you the thing. This is what it looks like. Hopefully you all can see this. I've got a whole new setup here for my camera and stuff, a new table and everything, so it may take me a little getting used to working on a different size space here. But anyway, this is the Graphics Durabrite. This is white. It also comes in black. I like both of them. I really do like this. It does not stain like Yupo does. It's very similar to the Graphics Craft Plastic, which I also like because it doesn't stain badly either. Alright, I have got my Revlon hairdryer, which I know some of you all are sick of hearing me say this, but every video somewhere at some point I will get a question about what I'm using to move the ink, so I'm trying to be sure to mention this on every video. This is just a Revlon styling brush hairdryer with the brush attachment removed. Just had a little round, you know, curling brush type thing on the end of it. Took it off. This is 500 watts. So I also do use it only on the cool setting. Well, mostly on the cool setting. But I use this with a Fordham foot pedal, which I can't show you all because the cord's too short and it's down on the floor. I did a video about that, just a quick sort of review video about that a little ways back, not too far back from this one, if you want to see more about that. But it does allow me to use a variable speed on my cool setting, because the cool does blow with a high airflow. But now listen, can you all hear it? With the foot pedal, I can adjust it to any speed that I want it to blow and still keep it on the cool setting. So that is why I use it. If you decide to get a foot pedal, make sure, if you don't want to go with the Fordham, because it is not one of the cheapest ones out there. They are more expensive, but it's not one of the cheapest. But I got it because it's had excellent reviews. You know, it was recommended to me by a subscriber who has used it and really liked it, and it has the variable speed. Not all foot pedals have a variable speed. Some of them you can only turn your equipment, whatever you're using it with, you can only turn it on and off. So I do like that because of the variable speed. Okay, now all that stuff out of the way. Oh, one other thing, very handy, keep you some little cotton swabs nearby because you might need those occasionally. Alright, so I think I am ready to paint now. I just have to kind of decide. For some reason, I changed my mind about 3 or 4 times on colors this morning. I had out really bright summery colors, and then I had out neutral colors, and then I decided I just wanted dark colors, so I have no idea where my brain just can't settle. I have not gotten to paint since before we left Washington. So, yeah, I've got too many ideas in my head for color schemes and things I want to do and projects I want to work on. So all of that is just going to probably end up driving me completely insane at some point. I'm sorry, I'm trying to decide sort of what I wanted to do here, because I don't want a ton of black in it, but I did want a little bit. Alright, so like I said, this is just the, I don't know what it is, probably somewhere around 94%. It probably had a little bit more 91% than 99%, so. But it's isopropyl alcohol. See, and now I'm going to have to get used to the foot pedal again. I'm trying to turn my dryer on and off with my hand. And one of the things I know some of you all have quite a bit of trouble with, and I'm going to start having trouble with, is the little moisture beads on your paper. Yeah, that's just annoying, and there is no perfect solution for that. What I generally do, you can see where it started to form there, but didn't quite make it. What I generally do is just take a little corner of a napkin or paper towel and just kind of soak up the water. And sometimes you have to rework that spot. It is much more humid here, like crazy amount more humid here in the mountains than it was in the desert area that we were in Washington. So, okay, well, did y'all just see my vineyard explode? It's just splattered everywhere. And I have got, for anybody who's wondering, this is that I've got my paper on. It's just a sheet of Yupo, a big sheet of Yupo that I taped to my tabletop. I got a glass top desk to work on so that I could just wipe it down, didn't have to worry about anything getting on it. And then the first time I turned on my video stuff just to see if I had things set up in the right place, I realized I was getting horrendous reflections. So I just had to sacrifice one of my larger pieces of Yupo. In order to stop that reflection so that you all could actually see. Now you can probably see on this one, getting a lot more water beading. It's something about the colors that have red in them will almost always have a bigger problem with the water beading, and I don't, it's got to have something to do with whatever the mixture is for the red ink, but I just really do not know. I really probably should have done a better job of trying to plan something out here, but I was just anxious to paint. The kids are still asleep this morning, and I haven't yet started feeling too guilty over not unpacking yet today. And our house here, this is the house we were living in before we moved. We kept this house because we knew we would eventually be coming back. But it was so musty and yuck and just needed so much work done to it to clean it up before we even could unpack a lot of stuff. So I have just been going crazy trying to get all that mess done. And I'm hoping you all are going to be able to see good enough. I mean, with everything moved around, it's just, it may take me a few tries to get things sort of, you know, angles worked out good. I just didn't have the patience this morning because I really did want to get a chance to paint. And one of my problems here is going to be, I don't have my own separate room right now to paint in. This is sort of, I guess you call it a small alcove. I don't know what to call it. We call it the rock room because it's got rock floor. So, but it's sort of off the main path, but right next to it. And when the kids are up and running around, there's nowhere I can really go at the moment to escape the racket. Now you can see really good on this that I'm getting the little water spots. I'm just going to tear this off and try and get some of them out. You can leave them in there. I've actually done that on some paintings, and it's actually kind of cool looking. Just depends on what you want. I mean, that's one of the greatest things about abstract painting is it's abstract, and every little thing sort of can add to it. Excuse me, really hoarse. Getting back up here has been harder on my allergies than I expected it to be. Our chestnut trees and chinky pin trees are blooming right now, so they have always given me a hard time. And apparently that has not changed. I don't even know where I want to go with this, so. And I'm sorry, I'm not really giving many tips right now because I don't really know what to tell you. I'm putting down the ink, putting down, you know, a drop or two of the Pinata Brass, putting down some alcohol and just spreading it out. Not a whole lot of technique involved with what I'm doing at the moment. Giving that just a touch extra, a little more drying than I normally would, just because of the little moisture beads that are getting on it. So we are having an absolute wonderful time being back, getting to spend so much time with our grandson. I think since we got back up here, there's only been 2 nights that he didn't stay with us. One night he stayed, you know, at home, and the other night he had a sleepover with a friend. Other than that, he's been sleeping at our house. And our new baby granddaughter, who we're getting to see almost every day, which is thrilling me. My husband and I both, most of our immediate family lives here, and so it has been really, really nice to get back to where we can see all of them again. We are just close to our families, and so it has been really hard to be away from them so much, especially our son and our daughter and grandson, and I don't know, parents and everything. I mean, we've just missed all of them like crazy. I'm not sure I'm gonna like that blend right there, but I needed something else up here. If you're using a really light color like this shell pink, you're probably going to need to use more ink than you would normally use. And have to level my table. I can see it is not level. It just, unless you really just barely want it to even show up at all. I almost wish I'd left that black out, but I feel like I need to put more of it in there now instead of that one little blob of it in the middle. Maybe not. Let's see. See, this is the problem with having no idea with where I'm going with something, is I can end up with some very bizarre shapes sometimes. But, alright, now I think what I'm going to do now, and don't ask me why I'm shaking my alcohol, I have no idea. I'm just going to start kind of working in and get the edges wispy, which means for the most part, I will just be putting some alcohol at the edge, or either at or near the edge of the inks to pull them out so that I can sort of push them back in towards, you know, whichever direction I decide to push it. So that's what I'll be doing here. Trying to get those wispy edges that I like so much. And kind of blend a little bit at the same time. It has just been really frustrating not being able to paint. Handling all of my supplies and not being able to use them. handling all of them while I've been trying to get everything organized, which is, I discovered I have way too much art stuff. I had a recent question from a new person that hopefully is listening, or any of you who have had this same question about, is this the same type of paper as watercolor? It is absolutely not. Watercolor paper will not work for this type for this style of alcohol ink painting. Alcohol inks will work just like watercolors on it. It will absorb your ink. It won't let it move like it moves on this. This is a synthetic art paper, which is, it's basically plastic. To do the paintings the way that I do, you have to have a non-porous surface. They will not work. It will not work on a porous surface because it will just absorb your ink and keep it from spreading the way that I like for mine to spread. Saying that, it reminded me, one of the things I also wanted to address is I get these comments every now and then about, well, why don't you do it this way? This is the way so-and-so does it. Well, this is the way I do it. So, you know, I like the fact that there are those of us who do things in different ways. You know, this is just the way that I sort of taught myself to do it. And, you know, if you don't like the way that I do it, there are people out there who do it different ways. And that is fine. We all have our own style of doing things. And that is really, that's what makes art interesting, is because people don't all do things exactly the same way. And even just a small change in the way that you do something can produce different results. So, you know, it's just, it's really just a matter of what you like and what you get used to doing. If I had done everything exactly the same as the very few people that were doing alcohol ink videos when I started, you know, there would be no difference in everybody's paintings. Everything would be, the videos, everybody's videos would be exactly the same. You wouldn't learn different techniques. So I think being different is a good thing. In pretty much everything in life. That's what I've always told my kids and my grandkids is, you know what? The world would be a really boring place if everyone were the same. So, you be you. Doesn't matter how different you are than anyone else. see some things I'm going to have to change. I'm not sure how it is for you all. I won't know till I go back and look at the video, but I'm getting so much reflection on the brass that I'm having a hard time seeing where the colors are. May have to do some shifting of my lights. So I got a lot of water beading on that. One thing you can do, you just have to be real careful, is you can use, if you're using a hairdryer, you can use one of the heat settings. That helps a little bit, doesn't get rid of all of it, but it does help a little bit. And you don't have quite so much to worry about dabbing up that way. But just be real cautious because, you know, like I said earlier, this is just basically a form of plastic, just a, you know, a thin, smooth sheet of plastic, basically, or similar to. And you can warp it. You'd have an almost impossible time just flat out melting it with a hairdryer. Now, if you have your heat gun set really high, you could possibly even melt it if you're using a heat gun. But you can warp it, and it'll get sort of wavy and bumpy. And some of them will sort of flatten back down some as they cool down. Others will not. And sometimes, if you warp it too badly, it doesn't matter what you do. It's not going to fix itself. It's not going to flatten back out. Okay, I keep thinking of all these different things I want to do. Trying to decide whether or not to add more ink in places. I love the way that the shell pink and vineyard blend for some reason. I just love the way it looks where those two have blended with each other. I think it's very cool. Sorry, I know I bore you all to death when I start just looking and thinking, trying to decide like what direction I want to go or what I want to do. Or well, that's to keep that from drying out there and leaving me a hard edge. And those of you who have been commenting and asking me questions over the last month or so that I have not gotten back to, I am really sorry. I don't like to do that. I don't like for people to feel like I'm ignoring them, but I just have not had time. And when I have had a few minutes of free time, I have just wanted to rest. See, this is what I use this for sometimes. If you can't get your ink to move into a spot before your alcohol dries, just, you know, you can move it. Oops, you can move it with something like that. Now, that does not require a special tool. You do not have to have one of these. Let me show you real quick what I started out with. If I can find it. Well, here's one of them anyway. Can't find the other one right now, but this is an old makeup brush. And I just used the rounded end on this makeup brush to do it. I mean, I had a comment recently about how expensive all of the supplies that you need to start doing this are. They are so not. They really are not. I've got a bunch of stuff, but it has built up over time. This is not, when I first started, I bought, you know, one sheet, or not one sheet, but one pack of Yupo paper, which was a mistake. Don't do that. Don't start on Yupo paper. Start on the back side of photo paper. But, you know, and like 6 colors of ink. I bought 3 packs of ink, a bottle of 91% alcohol, and the, you know, some paper to do it on. I already had a hair dryer. It wasn't this one at the time. I did have to use it on the warm settings, so I had to be real careful. But it's not super expensive to start out. You can make it that way if you want to get everything, but I would not recommend getting a ton of stuff to start out with anyway, because you don't know if you're going to like it or not. It takes a lot of practice to get it down. If you want to get these wispy edges, it just takes a lot of practice. And a lot of people, you know, they see somebody like me who's been doing it for a couple of years, you know, they see me doing it and think, oh, well, that's really easy, without thinking about the fact that I've had mucho practice. You know, I didn't start out able to do this. I got frustrated and mad, and had I not been just so in love with the way that the paintings that I had seen, with the way that they looked, I probably would have given up, just because I didn't think I was ever going to get it. Even a lot of my earliest videos were horrible because I was still learning then, and the paintings were terrible, but I still leave them up there just because why not? You all can see how you can, you know, change a little bit, learn things and grow a little bit better. Anyway, don't think that, you know, you have to have all this stuff, because you don't. It's just, a lot of it is things that people have asked me about if I've tried, and so I'll get the stuff and try it. So I end up with a lot of things that I don't really have to have. I'm going to use this again here. The brass in it, if you use a metallic in it, that is sort of what tends to make it want to dam up easier and not go over certain spots. Now see, that irks me. That's from the water spots. That's where I stopped to move that around. And the only way to fix that now is to just rework it right there. Which I may do. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like the shape of this one very much, but I like the colors. See, I put that in there because I want to pull a little bit of color out this time. If you mostly want to push your color in, you know, put your alcohol, grab the paper, put your alcohol, you know, on the outer edge of your color, or right sort of on the edge of the color and the paper, sort of straddle it a little bit, and then, you know, mostly make sure you blow it in if you're trying to push stuff in some. If you want to pull color out, put it in on your ink where the color is that you want to pull out and blow it out before you push it back in. But if you don't want to get that hard edge like I've got right here, make sure you don't let your ink get all the way onto the paper where there's no alcohol. You need to have clear alcohol on the outside edge. It's difficult to explain. I hope that is making some sense, because that's a problem that a lot of people have asked me about before. You know, how to keep from getting that hard edge if you want that super soft, wispy look. So like right here, I want to blow some of this back in, so I'm going to put my alcohol, put my alcohol out there. Almost done with this one, for those of you all who are getting impatient, who haven't already fast forwarded. I do want to fix that, because I don't really like when I get that hard edge there. I like to have that really open, more like it is right here. I like to have that much more than the hard edge. That's just my taste. You can do yours, whatever your taste is. I'm going to pull some of that out at the same time. So I don't want to end up with just a big white spot right there. So Now you can see I'm trying to move some of the purple this way, because I'm going to come back again and blend these two and pull that out just a little bit more with a little bit of a blend. That's just determined to have a little bit of an edge right there, but I'm just going to leave it so I don't end up really messing it up. And trying to decide what angle I want to come at that from. Now there's my clear. See, I didn't want to have that leave a hard edge, so, and I still got it too far up there. And see where I pushed the ink too far and got that, so now I'll have to go back in again and fix that. I cannot get my fingernails under the paper for some reason. It's getting a little too blended right there, but I don't know if I want to put any more ink down or not. And I'm going to try it and see what happens. I may end up having to put some more ink down there. You get it spread out too far, you just end up with, you know, not enough color. This doesn't fit in with the rest of your painting because it's too light. Now, one thing, if you don't like, see where I've come back here, but I didn't meet, and so I did, you know, it doesn't look as good because I've just got these sort of bumps in here. You can put just enough alcohol in that spot to kind of blend it, but you got to be really careful doing that, because if you push your alcohol, if you push this too far up this way, then you're just going to end up with a bump up here going that way. So you got to be real cautious if you want to do that. I still cannot get that perfect at times. I'll try it here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. A lot of times I'll just leave it because it is difficult to do. And I'm going to try with this. So I was trying not to get too much alcohol there, and I didn't even get enough. So, which is one of those things you got to be cautious of too. I'm going to try that again. See if I can get it over that way. Now see, I caused another little thing right there. You gotta be real careful about this. I almost let it dry too much there before I used my little stick. And so I can see the little lines where I piddled with it there. And if you mess with it too much in here, you're just going to end up with one solid block of color rather than a nice blending of things. Sorry, I keep turning it because I can't see from the reflections. I'm trying to find an angle where I can actually see what I'm doing. I think I am going to leave it at this. You know, there's a few things that I'm not thrilled about, but you know, it's not bad. I think this improved it a little bit in here by coming in there. I've still got a little bit over here, but that one's not as obvious to me. Now, one thing I'm going to do, I'll show you, is if you end up with something like this, just this tiny little line out here that you don't want, a little alcohol on a cotton swab, just 1 or 2 drops of alcohol. You don't want your cotton swab soaking wet. And then just gently wipe it out. And that way you don't have to rework that entire area. But you can get, oops, a little purple spot there I didn't get from where my ink sort of erupted out of the bottle. Anyway, you can get rid of that without having to rework that entire area. So there you go. That's going to be it for today. I know not one of my best, but for such a long hiatus from painting that I've had, I'm fairly happy with it. I am going to do a video very soon on just on my supplies. I'm not going to be doing a painting in it. I'm just getting so many questions about getting the same questions over and over again about things I use, that I'm just going to do a video about that. So those of you who are new and, you know, are some of those that are asking those questions, keep an eye out for that. I'm hoping sometime within the next week or 2, I will have that done. And that way I can just refer people to that video rather than spending quite a long time at times trying to answer those questions. All right, well, I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll be back with y'all real soon. I love you all. Bye.